Hey, what's up, VC? It's Steve again, Harmless Rebel, and it's time for another hard rock and heavy metal update. Before we get into that, I just want to apologize real quick for the quality of the last few videos that I've done. I'm not sure what's going on. My MacBook Pro took a dump about 2 months ago, and I've been using my old iMac, and the quality of the videos, when they go in from my phone, they're 4K, but for some reason when they're coming out, the quality is just not that good, and you know, a couple of people have mentioned that and asked me about it, so I apologize for that. But let's just kind of jump in. Got a small stack here. Didn't want to do too much. Didn't want one of my famous 40-minute videos. However, you know, you never know. Actually, before we go any further, in the background, we're listening to the Black Widow EP from Biogenesis. This is one of the recent releases from Rox. I'm really loving this album. I've liked everything from Biogenesis so far. I believe next year, maybe the end of this year, but I believe it's next year. This is going to be issued on LP, and it's going to have some additional songs. There's 5 songs in there. I think there's going to be 7 songs on the EP, if I remember, or on the LP. And something I just noticed today, I was just talking to Scott about this. It's kind of funny. So Eli, who's been in the VC, man, maybe 2015, since about 2015. He used to have his own channel. I don't know if, Eli, you'll have to let me know. I don't know if he's still doing his channel. But he's been doing Kiss Me's the podcast for 2 or 3 years now, and so it's funny. I just noticed that he was playing with Biogenesis now. I knew he was a drummer, and I just messaged Scott. He's been with the band for about a year, so very cool. You can get this through Rox. If you pre-ordered it, it came with a Biogenesis sticker. Let's see if I got it here, and a Biogenesis pin. I did not pre-order it, but Scott hooked me up actually before the album came out. I actually just got this about a week ago, and I've been playing the heck out of it. So that's what's playing in the background there. And I know this made a couple of people's, I believe it made Kevin's and Scott's top 10 of 2018. So like I said, let's just jump in. Another one that actually made Scott's top 10, I believe. This is Mass. Their newest release, When Two Worlds Collide. It's funny. I spun this right when I got it. I was really excited to hear it. And it just didn't do anything for me. I didn't like it. I'm not sure what the deal was. And then I pulled it out this morning to give it another spin before I filed it away. And it blew me away. It's really, really good. It's just really good hard rock. There's no other way to put it. I've always liked Mass. I was surprised that I didn't like it. I just must not have been in the right headspace for it. But I've spun it 2 more times today, and I'm really digging this. I'm actually going to spin this again before it goes into the collection. But again, this is When Two Worlds Collide. This is actually the purple vinyl press. I'm not going to pull it out, but and this is I got this from Rox. Bill got I believe the band was selling signed copies on their website, and Bill from Rox got a few copies that he put up on his website, so I grabbed one of those. So there you go, Mass, When Worlds Collide, 2018. Next up, I was really happy to finally get this. I've been on the lookout for this for probably 3 or 4 years now, and last year, High Roller finally did a repressing of it. This is the Night Demon EP. I don't know if it was originally an EP or if it was originally their demo, but this was their first release on cassette and 7-inch. I tried to get a hold of it, but I didn't find out about the band until about a year after they came out, and just completely missed it. They did another repress, maybe 2015 or 16, and that one sold out again real fast too, and I missed that. So I'm glad to finally have this. This is the only album, the only release from Night Demon that I didn't have. This is killer. My favorite song on here is The Chalice. They also do a cover of Lightning to the Nations, a live cover of Radar Love from their first album, or from their first show. Just really killer. Highly recommend picking up anything and everything that you see from Night Demon. I've also got their live album that came out, their 3 LP live album that came out last year. I haven't spun that yet, but I've loved everything they've released. They're such a great band. They're definitely up there. I think they're one of probably the top 3 or 4 of the new wave of traditional metal bands that are out there right now. It doesn't get much better than this. Next up, just some killer old school thrash. This was 86, I believe. This is the German pressing. I always heard that this was this album cover was done strictly for the U.S., but it turns out that the Satan's Gift album cover was the one that was done for the U.S., which doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why this wouldn't be marketable in the U.S., but Satan's Gift would be. I don't know. But this is Death Row, Riders of Doom. I've always loved this album cover. I actually just found out that they just repressed this year. Or, I'm sorry, 2018. They just repressed this with their Sam Hain demos. Sam Hain was the original name of the band, as you can see right there. I'm not sure who hit the market first, if it was them. I can't remember when Danzig's Sam Hain hit. But regardless, they changed the name to Death Row, which I dig. Again, love this artwork. But yeah, the reissue that just came out apparently has a second LP with all their demos on it. So I may try to get that. But still, just killer thrash. I've always loved this album. I'm glad to finally have this on vinyl. Next up, one of my all-time favorite bands. I bought all their reissues that just came out, so I've been showing them. If you've watched my last few videos, I've shown albums from them. This is definitely this is the band's debut LP. They had an EP before this with Tom G. Warrior on vocals. On this one, he is gone. Man, this is just such a great album. This one is straight up technical thrash. They hadn't really incorporated the progressive elements yet. This is more of a straight up just technical thrash. But this is R.I.P. from Coroner. A lot of people, especially hardcore thrash guys, list this as their favorite album. As I said last time I showed a Coroner album, you can make an argument for every one of their albums being their best album. They're all of them are phenomenal. This is just one of those bands that it's so sad that they, and it still blows my mind that they didn't that they weren't a bigger band. I mean, for 87 when this came out, 87, 88, 89, and I think 92 were their albums. They were by far one of the most technical and best thrash bands out there. And it just blows me. It's one of those bands that all the other thrash bands list as an inspiration to them. They're bands that they all loved, but for some reason they just never made it big. And it's kind of sad they didn't, because each of their albums I would put in the top 5 of the year that they were released. I mean, that's how good the Coroner albums are. I highly recommend picking those up while you still can. They're still out there. They aren't expensive. I think the most expensive one was $28, and that was Grin. I think R.I.P. was under $20 or right at $20. Next up, The Money Mask from Armageddon. I've talked about this before because I've had this album playing in the background. In 2016, I believe, was it Retroactive maybe? Did a reissue of this. It was it had a second CD with all their demos, and I absolutely love this album. I was really happy when I learned that they were going to be doing this on vinyl, and I pre-ordered this as soon as they put it up for sale. But this is The Money Mask from Armageddon. Just really killer American power metal from, I think, 87 or 88 when this came out. I can't remember exactly. It was late 80s, though. Definitely in the vein of that early American power metal sound. I guess more traditional metal. We'd call it traditional metal now, but I've always loved this artwork, the skull made with dollar bills. It just really killer. And Scott, this is one that Scott Waters blew up and sharpened up for the LP, and he did a really killer job on this one. But I highly recommend grabbing this one. You can get this one from Boone's Overstock. Get it quick though. They only pressed 150 of these, and there's not many left. Just really killer, straight up 80s metal though. And a couple of the songs, so his vocals he doesn't get those super high vocals like King Diamond does, but there's a few songs on here where his vocals are very reminiscent of King Diamond, a la Merciful Fate. There's 3 or 4 songs on there where he sounds kind of like he's going for that King Diamond sound. Like I said, he doesn't get those operatic highs that King Diamond does, but just something about the way he sings on a few of those songs have always made me think of King Diamond. And like I said, I love that album. They did get back together in 2015 or 2016 and release a new album. I still haven't got around to getting that one yet, but Money Mask is a classic and it's a must-have. Next up, just one of those bands that I really dig. Speaking of power metal, this is straight up European power metal. This is Built to Last from Hammerfall. This was their last LP in 2016. It's just straight up Hammerfall. There's nothing new. There's nothing groundbreaking. It's just another really solid album from Hammerfall. This is one of those bands that just hasn't done me wrong. I've really liked all of their stuff. Like I said, nothing that they do is ever groundbreaking. It's just always really good, really traditional power metal, just the way I like it. Next up, just one of the all-time great bands. It blows me away that I didn't know who this was until just a couple of years ago, and I kind of found out about it by accident. So when Sanctuary broke up, I didn't know that a few of the guys went on and started Nevermore. And actually, Nevermore, for some reason, I had in my head that it was one of those operatic bands with the female opera singers. I don't know why I thought that. I just did. Maybe it was the name. But since I found out about 3 years ago that it was a World Dame project, I've been buying up all of their stuff. They just reissued, I think, last year, 2018, 2 or 3 of the Nevermore albums, and I grabbed them. But this one is Enemies of Reality. I really, really dig this album. I've been playing the heck out of this. I actually grabbed it, and it's funny. I found it on CD, then I ordered it, the vinyl copy, and the vinyl came with CD too. But regardless, Nevermore. So I like Worrell's vocals better in Sanctuary, but musicianship is better in Nevermore. The band just sounds amazing in Nevermore. So highly recommend picking up these reissues. They're not expensive. I think I paid $19.99 for this one, and I mean, my favorite song on here is Never Purify, but the entire album is just killer. Again, another one I highly recommend. Actually, I don't think there's any stinkers in this pile here. So next up, just filling out the Thin Lizzy collection. This is Shades of a Blue Orphanage. This is probably my, I don't want to say it's my least favorite. It's probably the one I listen to the least, though. I've got all of these on CD. Decca, they just reissued all of these. Decca, who reissued them? Future Days of Vinyl did these reissues 3 years ago. With the Obi strips. It's their first 3 albums. This one, Thin Lizzy and Vagabonds of the Western World. This one does have some killer songs on here, and this is their second album, is where you kind of hear the direction they're going to go. Buffalo Gal is on here. Buffalo Gal is one of my favorite Thin Lizzy songs. I've always loved that song. But when you get to the B-side, you really start to hear the Thin Lizzy of the future. And I can't remember the names of the songs. They're not on the back of the album cover here. But like I said, you really do start to hear they're starting to introduce that hard rock that you'll hear in the future, and that they'll solidify more on the next album, but really on their 4th album. But Shades of Blue, Orphanage. And then the last 2 we got here, a couple of EPs. Let's see if I want to... No, I'll just leave those for another video. I've actually had these since I came out. They've just been in the pile of stuff to show, and I just haven't gotten around to showing them in the video. Pulled these out and gave them a couple more spins the last week or so, though. But this is Creature of the Flames, the 2017 EP from Savage Master. If you've been watching me for a few years, you know I'm a real big fan of these guys. I've seen them, guys and gal. I've seen them 3 times. I actually saw them the week before this came out, and they played a couple of songs from here. What is it? Burning Leather is probably my favorite on here. All 5 songs are really good, but Burning Leather and maybe Dark Enchantress, I think, is the other one that I really dug. Just another solid release from Savage Master, though. I think it's on black vinyl. I can't remember. And then last, but definitely not least, probably, if not my favorite new wave of traditional metal band, in the top 2. But this is the Escape EP from High Spirits. And just like everything else that Chris Black releases, man, he's just doing it right. I've actually got some other Chris Black stuff I'm going to show pretty soon. He just released stuff under his name, Chris Black, that's more punk based. But he's also got Dawnbringer, which is killer. All of his projects just blow me away. But just another killer release from High Spirits. That's it, guys. I will see you soon. I'm actually going to do a video. If you guys saw on Facebook, Scott and I met up in Phoenix last week, and we went digging one day, and then I went digging a couple of other days. So I'm going to put together a couple of videos showing the albums that I picked up. I picked up some really cool stuff, as did he. But I'll try to get that up next week, or maybe this weekend. Other than that, though, take care of EC, and I'll see you soon.